Kentucky Senior Meal Program is supported by federal and state funding through the Department for Aging and Independent Living and is administered by Kentucky's 15 area development districts. Team Kentucky is committed to fighting senior hunger, and this administration has directed more dollars towards funding senior hunger meals than any administration in history. There have been no reductions to funding for the Senior Meal Program. Overall, from 2019 to 2025, there has been a 35% increase in Kentuckians participating in the program and a 55% increase in the number of meals served to hungry older adults. The increase in need for food has outstripped the funding available when the current budget was put together in fall of 2023. Thanks to support of the governor and the General Assembly, we were able to secure an unprecedented $10 million recurring each fiscal year in state general funds to support hungry older adults. This $10 million has been allocated in state fiscal year 25 and in state fiscal year 26. Last state fiscal year, the administration was able to deploy one-time funding to support the growth of the program, and this funding is not available this current fiscal year. Impact to seniors varies by regions as a senior meal program is overseen by each of the 15 area development districts. Some of the districts, as we have learned, will not have impact to senior meal reductions as one-time funding is no longer available. And also, Dale has offered technical assistance to areas that anticipate there may be impact to their senior meal funding or their senior meal programs. As of today, we have met with 8 area development districts and are providing technical assistance to them, and we are currently assessing the impact. We have made recommendations to each of the area development districts to support seniors with the highest malnutrition score, as well as implement a meal reservation system in the senior centers. Each of these programs are operated by the area development districts, and they have ultimate authority as to how their programs are run and their senior centers are operated. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Lockett, I think, has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You mentioned prior, I think you were referring to last fiscal year, you mentioned that the administration was able to basically find funding elsewhere when the allocations were down. Where were those funds found?
So those funds were available through remaining ARPA dollars that were available to the cabinet, as well as one-time funding. That's correct.
And so outside of the ARPA funds, where was the one-time funding?
The funding was found through vacancy credits or unexpended state dollars that we were able to redirect towards the program.
Okay. A quick follow-up, Mr. Chair. Sure. You said that those fundings, I understand the ARPA funds are not there, but why are there not funds available now?
As the governor announced in September, the state is under a anticipated $300 million shortfall.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Senator Wheeler.
I have a couple, Mr. Chair. Commissioner,
You may proceed. We have some time.
Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty good friends with my local ad director in the Big Sandy district, and I mean he called me about this about 3 or 4 weeks ago, rather upset. Mm-hmm. I think that they had just finished a meeting with you all about this particular issue, and you know he had some fairly disturbing things to tell me. I guess the first thing was one that it seemed to be that the cabinet was kind of blaming the legislature for some of this, which I'm not exactly certain how, since we gave the governor and the cabinet every dollar they asked for, did we not?
Absolutely, you're correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. And in fact, I guess what I would like to know is, did the cabinet, when they communicated with their ad districts initially, did the ad districts not anticipate a slightly greater shortfall than the cabinet did?
Amy, do you want to take that one?
Yes. So when we did the budget in 2023, we had projected that they would need a $10 million, and that's what was put in the budget.
Okay.
The ads did say that they needed additional funding, but the growth did not support the expenditures.
Okay. What I was told by my ad chairman is that they had requested $14.5 million a year. Is that correct?
The funding that was available was the $14 million that was actually allocated through the General Assembly through one-time ARPA funds. The funding that was allocated this fiscal year was $10 million in state general recurring funds.
Okay, but we could allocate the $14.5 million if we wanted to, correct?
Absolutely, yes,
And
sir.
we allocated the $10 million, right? So I'm just shocked if the people are saying that if the people administering the program were saying we needed $14.5 million a year, why did you discourage them from advocating that position with the legislature?
Senator Wheeler, I can tell you that the cabinet is not in a position to encourage or discourage area development districts in their advocacy efforts. What we do know is we utilized forecasting measures that indicated what funding we would need to ensure that there was a balanced budget.
Okay. The other point that he made to me was, and I guess you made projections based on your prior service. He also indicated to me that during this entire time, even though your requested allocation was based on prior services and you cite expansion of the program, he indicated to me that folks were being pressured by the cabinet to expand the program to folks that perhaps didn't even qualify, that some people that may be well above any type of financial ability of need for this particular program, that and I can respect this on some level, honestly can, because I love old people. I was fortunate enough to have all four of my grandparents till the day before my 40th birthday. So I'm a big fan of our seniors, and I want them to, I enjoy senior centers, and there are places for them to but at the same time, I think we do need to prioritize need. Mm-hmm. He told me they were told if they call for a meal, we give them a meal. Mm-hmm. Now, if that's the policy that's being put out by the administration, rather than, then why would you have not anticipated, if you're removing any type of qualifying criteria, that you wouldn't have needed a larger amount of money?
Senator Wheeler, I first want to say thank you. It's always encouraging to know that you support older adults, and I know we all have a grandparent that is at the forefront of the work that we are doing, and thank you for visiting Kentucky's almost 200 senior citizen centers. With regard to the Area Development District comment on financial eligibility, there is not a financial eligibility requirement to receive a senior meal. It is actually codified in federal law that any person 60 or older who is age 60 or older can receive a meal. State law states that you can look at, if they are homebound, they can receive a home delivered meal. There are certain requirements based on their physical ability to receive a home delivered meal, to that anyone can attend any of our Kentucky's 200 senior citizen centers.
And I guess that was probably poorly worded on my part, but essentially they were not advised to prioritize, might be a better way to put it. And I guess, and finally, and I've got, actually, I was kind of handed a partial transcript of that meeting, and apparently I've not had a chance really to review it. I just got it. I didn't have time before I came in here, but frankly, I was a little shocked that there were some comments made that I guess that part of this is due to the legislature reducing the income tax, which I guess Governor Beshear must have thought it was a good idea because he signed off on the last two, and that the economy is not good in Kentucky, which I thought I just heard Governor Beshear on national television the other day saying that Kentucky's economy is on fire, and that these were some of the reasons why there's a shortfall in this type of funding. Why were those type of comments made? They don't make a lot of sense to me. Are you saying that what the governor's telling us on television is about Kentucky's economy and and I guess our policy initiatives is not correct?
Well, I mean, I was not, excuse me, I was not at that meeting, and so therefore I don't really particularly understand I'm sorry, I don't know the context in which any comments were made, and so therefore it's kind of hard to answer. However, I do think that we've been fairly clear that the reason that we're here today and the reason that this has happened is is like Commissioner said, is that demand has far outstripped the resources that we have. So the fact is there are more people needing senior meals. There's more people utilizing this program. And like I said, the context in which those comments were, I can't really speak to, but I think the evidence is that there is a great demand for this program, and it probably will continue to go up.
Okay, Mr. Chair, thank you very much.
Senator, let me clarify, or let me get clarification on a couple of things that Senator Wheeler has asked about. And one of the answers was that Commissioner Eldridge, you had said that it's codified in federal law that anyone over 60 can receive a meal.
Yes, sir.
Is it say can or shall receive a meal?
If anyone age 60 or older, for those of you that are here, if you are 60 or older, you can attend the Capital Day Senior Citizen Center here in Frankfort, regardless as to whether you have $1 in assets or $1 million in assets. The Older Americans Act that was established in 1965 says any person age 60 or older can receive a senior meal.
I understand they can, but what I'm saying is if we see in July that we don't have enough funds to get through to January, we may have to start restricting at some point before we run out of money or before we decide, hey, we're not going to have enough money to get to the end. So my question is, should we have, and that's the reason I want to get back to the can or the shall, should we have at some point said, if you're 60 and you're making $100,000 a year, you probably shouldn't receive a meal. So we're going to say no, you have to be a poverty level income or 25% above poverty before you shall receive a meal. Maybe we should have adjusted our policy just a little bit. Am I representing that correctly?
Senator, I understand your question, and I think that I would actually like the opportunity to go back and maybe take a look at the Older Americans Act. I don't know the answer to your question right here at this table here today, but I do understand it and the way you're asking it, and I would like the opportunity to look at it, and we can get back with the committee on what we find and see if there is any flexibility as to service provision or if we have any I guess flexibility on that, and we can definitely update the committee on that. But I do understand the question.
Yeah, the reason
that's a good question.
Yeah, the reason I was asking is because I think we didn't always give someone 60 and older a meal. So that's why I think maybe it probably says can, but I'd be curious to see how it does read. And I'm like you, I haven't looked at it either, but I'd be curious to see. One, as chair, I'm going to take this liberty as well.
Yes, sir.
One follow-up question to Senator Wheeler that I'm not sure I understood the answer to. Did the ad districts tell you, or anyone, did they tell anyone that $10 million request is not going to be enough? It needs to be more at any point?
The previous fiscal year, they had received $14 million, and that is what they had stated is that they wanted to continue at that level of funding. Based on the cabinet's financial projections and looking at forecasting of senior meals, it was anticipated that we would need $10 million when this budget was built in the fall of 2023.
Thank you for that. Senator Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for being here. And I'm not going to really focus on how we got here, because the reality of it is we are here and we need to fix it, and we're not fixing it. And I have providers at home that are doing food banks, having the community bring food to feed the seniors, and there are seniors calling my office that my assistant has to talk to that don't have food to eat, and we're sitting up here doing this. Why hasn't the governor called a special session to address this?
Senator, I'm not able to answer that question. Obviously, I don't know if that's
Did
been
you
considered.
anticipate that question was going to be asked today?
I mean, I thought that was a
Then
possibility.
why do you not have an answer, sir?
I just don't, Senator. I apologize.
Okay. There's a lot of apologies and nothing being done. My understanding, Commissioner, in August that you were pushing the ads to provide more meals to grow their numbers, and then in September we don't have any money. Help me understand that.
So thank you, Senator, for that question, and thank you for the support that you are providing
Please
to the
stop
area development
thinking and
districts.
just answer the question.
Okay, yes, sir. So on September 4th, the governor announced that the Commonwealth would have an anticipated $300 million shortfall. A letter was sent to the area development
Okay,
districts.
help me understand shortfall from what?
As,
In what?
as the governor had stated on his Team Kentucky update, that there was an anticipated $300 million shortfall
For this program specifically?
for the Commonwealth.
Okay, the money allocated for this program, was there a shortfall in that money?
There was $32 million that was expended the last state fiscal year and $23 million appropriated this current fiscal year.
Okay, so we spent 14, a full 14 from the federal funds, the ARPA money. We spent all of that when it was allocated?
Yes,
Okay.
when it was allocated throughout the entire time of the ARPA funds to support the senior meal program, yes.
Okay. So the numbers justified a $14 million general fund appropriation.
Oh, I go back to see what you're asking. 14 million was spent during that time. There were some area development districts that had federal carryover. They were able to leverage the federal carryover to help support their program. There is less carryover available to continue to support the program due to the demand.
Okay, so we spent the 10 million that was allocated through the general fund. And how much did we budget in federal funds for the Meals on Wheels program?
Are you asking in 2025 or in 2026?
In
How
this
much is-
current fiscal year where we are at crisis?
In this current fiscal year, we have 12.7 federal funds available for the program.
That are available now?
Yes. Along with our state general funds, that gives us 23.9 million.
And so you all are limiting the funds for Meals on Wheels based on what you have left?
We're operating within the budget that we have. Yes.
Okay. I'm having a disconnect here because I'm having a hard time understanding 1 month you're encouraging them to grow and the next month you're out of money. But yet the same money was there. None of the money disappeared. You all felt like we budgeted enough money in the general fund. The federal dollars were not cut for Meals on Wheels.
Mm-hmm.
How many more meals have we served than what was anticipated? Because obviously it wasn't what you anticipated, because in August you were encouraging them to do more. And I don't mean to be short about this, but it doesn't sit well when you have seniors that are going hungry, and all we're doing is talking about, well, we're discussing this and that, and this has got to be fixed, and it's got to be fixed yesterday.
I agree, and I appreciate your passion for that. Again, at the start of this administration, there were 2,000 older adults that were waiting for services. 2,000. To that, only 1.5 million was allocated of state general funds to support the senior meal program in 2019, and 7.9 million.
Let's talk about today,
So,
please.
sure.
Let's talk about where we are.
And to that, there were in state fiscal year 2025, there were 29,000, over almost 30,000 Kentuckians who were served throughout the Commonwealth. They received 3.1 million meals across the Commonwealth.
And that's more than was anticipated.
Yes.
Okay. How did that happen in a period of 1 month?
When the budget was set in 2020, the budget was developed in the fall of 2023. and we saw the demand, what was forecasted compared to what the demand has been. We've also been monitoring expenses for the program. The program is operated by the area development districts through the area agencies on aging. They have contracts with providers to set the meal rates, and we have been monitoring those meal rates as well.
Okay, and so in August of this year, we were in good shape, but in September we weren't.
In August of this year, we did not know that there would be a $300 million shortfall.
Okay, I still don't understand this shortfall, but we can talk about that later. And help me, the plans right now today, when I check with the provider in my hometown, and they're doing 2 meals a week, that's it, 2 meals a week, and knowing that there are people that are going hungry, what are we doing to fix this other than working with this person and that person? Where are we looking for the money to cover this within the executive branch? It seems the governor is very good about writing big checks. Is there not a big check available somewhere to cover this? And I don't mean to be facetious, but is there money somewhere in the executive branch that can be used to feed these seniors? I know y'all have had those conversations.
Senator Carroll, I don't know if I can, and I hate to give you an answer that's a non-answer, but I can't answer that question here today. I know that there are discussions about this program, and I know everyone understands the severity of the issue. But as for a plan that exists right now to go to locate funds for it, I'm not aware of anything that's been finalized. But once again, I do know that these discussions are that the people are concerned about this.
Do you all agree that there are seniors going hungry today?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So it's unanimous. You agree that the seniors are going hungry?
Yes.
That's hard to stomach.
You're absolutely right, Senator Carroll. You're absolutely right. It is hard to stomach.
Governor needs to call an executive session, and we need to fix this, or he needs to find the money to pay for it. This is unacceptable. Mr. Chairman, I'll stop there.
Thank you, Senator Carroll. Senator Thomas?
Mr. Chair, first of all, since our colleagues, Senator Wheeler and Senator Carroll, have had a chance to ask several questions, I would ask I have the same latitude as well.
I'll give you some latitude, yes.
Thank you.
As long as we don't filibuster.
Let me take this discussion in a different direction. I want to start with you, Counsel Dukes, because you are a lawyer. As I understand it, the law you said allows anyone 60 or older to get a meal. Is that correct? The law says can.
Senator Thomas, I'm gonna have to go back and confirm that, but it's my understanding. Like I said, I'll take the liberty of needing to confirm that it says can.
Okay, so there's no limitation right now. There's no income eligibility requirement. It doesn't say they may get a meal, but it doesn't say they shall get a meal either. So right now, if you're 60 and you want to get a meal, you can get one.
If you walk into a senior citizen center right now, yes.
Okay. All right. As I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, the senior meal program is actually a federal program. Is that correct? It's not a state program.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you receive any federal monies here to support your program?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm just curious. This question is for you, Commissioner Eldridge. We're presently in the middle of a presidential shutdown. Are we impacted by that shutdown in terms of being able to get federal monies to help support this program?
Not at this time, no.
Okay. The question was raised about an executive session. As I understand the law, and we changed that any kind of executive session now has to be arranged by the governor in consultation with both the Senate President and the House Speaker. That's the law that we changed a couple of years ago. Do you have any idea? And if you don't, you can say that as well. Whether the House Speaker or the Senate President have talked to the governor and say we need to have a special session to address this?
I'm not aware either way if they have or haven't.
Okay. That's all my questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Thomas. Representative Burke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you all for your presentation. I don't envy your position because you wouldn't be serving in these roles if you didn't care, right? So I just want to start there. My first question is this. You mentioned earlier that you all have been looking at the cost of providing these services. Has there been, just like in my grocery budget, an increase of the cost of meals over the last year?
Over the last year, yes. The average statewide meal cost per meal across all 15 area development districts is $10.16.
And may I ask another, Chairman?
You may, yes.
Thank you.
We have a little time, so I want to
Thank you.
allow everyone as much leeway as I can.
Thank you. Is $10.16 the same number that was used for original calculations of how much the program would need, or is that a bigger number than how we did the calculations?
It has grown since we started the budget in the fall of 2023. Yes.
Thank you. So would you agree that we could spend weeks dissecting how we got here and still fail to meet the needs of the older people of Kentucky?
We could take that time dissecting it. Again, I cannot stress that under this administration and with the support of the General Assembly, for the first time in Kentucky's history, $10 million in recurring state general funds has been allocated to support the senior meal program. Prior to that, there had never been a line item in the Commonwealth's budget to address the senior meal program. Thank you all for your interest in this. It is very much greatly appreciated, especially to those 2,000 seniors who were on that wait list back in 2019.
And I think my last question for you is, would you prefer, if you could choose how we go forward, would you prefer that we spend money calling a special session that could be allocated to food, or would you prefer that we get to that as soon as we start in January?
I don't know if there's a preference either way. No, that's not been communicated to me. I just do know that we know that the problem exists, and we would like to work together with all the parties necessary to try to remedy the problem, no matter how it happens.
I appreciate that. And I want to just say for the record that I'm committed to doing my part to ensure that seniors have the money they need for food, and that the ADDs have the money they need to provide these meals. And I hope that the rest of my colleagues on this panel are as well. Thank you.
Representative Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first, I'd like to clarify, in Washington, it's not a presidential shutdown. There's a vote in the Senate, and the majority has voted to open it back up. Yet as 60 vote rule, they haven't got to the 60 yet because of the Democrats. I just want to clarify that since we were going to talk about Washington. The second part, I apologize for you having to carry the load of a $300 million shortfall. Those talking points are tough because you can't even explain where the $300 million shortfall is. Let's talk about the cabinet, $22 billion cabinet. Surely to goodness, attorney, there is an option out of the budget. I'm sure there's a lot of different programs in there where they have moved money within the 2-year biennium to cover a shortfall in one department. Are you here to tell me that you can't find $9 million out of $22 billion to carry us to July 1 so we don't have to discuss people being hungry, our seniors? I mean, it's actually mind-blowing to the legislatures that we're having to even discuss this. If it's 900 million or not even 90 million, like I said, but $9 million to carry us till July 1. Is that something the cabinet cannot do internally? Again, do you not know, or?
Senator, I would have to confer with the cabinet's budget staff and if of what was even possible, if anything.
Don't you think that discussion should have already been had in the last 60 days? I've been with my ad district on 3 meetings within the last 90 days. It started 90 days ago. And then 60 days ago, they got the letter. And then now the judges are getting involved. Everybody's starting to get involved locally. But it's just blowing my mind that $9 million can't be carried in our budget to get us to July 1, because we're doing the budget in January. And let me clarify something else. My speaker made it plain that when we were doing the budget, that our budget chairman insisted that it was going to take $15 million because we ran the numbers, and we were assured by the cabinet, no, it just takes 10. We're not going to put 15 in there if they're only asking for 10. So I wanted to clarify that too in those discussions. So I think a lot of this needs to be understood that I'm kind of like Senator Carroll. Is frustrating that we don't have an answer for something that's come up in a firestorm within 60 days, you know. And so again, is that a simple, or is that a legitimate request for you to go back to the cabinet secretary and say that within the committee we asked for a interpretation of why they can't put $9 million in this program to get us to July 1? If that's all right, Mr. Chairman, just get a simple answer on why they could or couldn't out of a $22 billion budget.
And we can communicate that, and I'm happy to take that message back. In fact, I'm sure maybe someone's watching and has already heard, but I'm happy to take that back, and we will see what's even possible, you know, if anything.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative Smith. Senator Wheeler has a follow-up question.
I think we need to correct some misstatements that were made here today. And with all due respect to my colleague, Senator Thomas, this is the governor's call and the governor's call alone whether or not to call us into a special session to deal with this. The Senate President and the Speaker of the House have absolutely nothing to do with this. This is something that is completely within the purview of Governor Beshear per the Kentucky Constitution. Although we did discuss amending the ability of the governor to call us into session, or the legislature to call itself into session, that amendment was rejected by the voters, and it is still the governor's call and the governor's call alone. So this is Governor Beshear's issue and Governor Beshear's policy not to call us in to take care of this. Now, from what I've looked at, as a special session in Kentucky costs the taxpayers between $65,000 and $68,000 a day. I think we can get a bill through, I believe, in at least 5 days. I think we've even done it in 3 before. So, you know, I for one would be willing to forego my compensation, as I'm sure many of my colleagues would, to come down here and make sure that these families get fed, especially around the holidays. I mean, we have Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up, and the thought that, you know, older people aren't going to be able to get what they need at a time that is supposed to be comforting and to be with their families and be happy. The fact that they have to worry about whether, you know, they're going to starve to death because we can't get out there and feed them is of great concern to me. But the other thing is, I mean, I guess I want to say thank you to my colleagues in the supermajority that voted to fund this program for the first time on a state level. I'm glad now that we have supermajorities in the House and the Senate that they have made this a policy statement that they want to take care of the elderly within our Commonwealth on a state level as well as on a federal level. So thank you very much for making this a budget priority. I guess my concern is that this indicates great mismanagement on the part of the cabinet, that they were unaware that there would be this type of shortfall. I mean, when you have the people that are administering the program that are coming to you telling you how much they are going to need to administer this program, and yet you ask for less. I mean, I would think if you have the General Assembly that is willing to fund this program, why Why do you think they wouldn't have given you $14.5 million versus $10 million? I don't think there's anybody sitting up here today that would not have given that extra money to make sure that our seniors are fed. I know that in my heart. And this is just inexcusable. Either it is incompetence or heartlessness, and I would like to think the former. But at the same time, this is on the governor and the cabinet. This is not on the General Assembly. And he needs to take responsibility to either get us called in to fix it or to find the money somewhere. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Carroll has a follow-up
Thank
question.
you, Mr. Chairman. And Mr. Duke, I have the utmost respect for you. You know that. We talk a lot, and I'm sorry you've been put in this position. And I understand that sometimes you just have to do your job, and sometimes people are designated to take all the heat. And I want to remind you that you are under oath. Do you know what the governor's plan is to deal with this?
I do not know the specifics of any plan at this time.
Okay. Do either of you ladies know?
No, sir.
I do not.
How many days has it been since the notice was sent out and centers had to stop or had to change their programming?
The letter was sent out to the area development districts on September 8th, 4 days after the governor announced this shortfall.
So that's been a month now.
Yes, sir.
So a month now, there have been seniors going without meals, and we're sitting in a room talking about it, and there's not a solution for it. And I know there's money in the executive branch to cover it. It can be moved around. And I'm not trying to criticize the governor. This conversation is about the people that are hungry today. And it's disappointing, and I don't understand at all. We always seem to find money when we need it for something, but yet this is not important enough, and I just don't get it. I don't understand the money part of it, because first it was a federal shortfall, then it was a state shortfall, and none of it makes any sense at all. But the bottom line is there are people hungry, and this program is set, and this legislature would have given more money. I don't think there's any doubt about that if the numbers had worked out, but obviously we didn't know the numbers, and obviously our seniors aren't a priority with the administration. So, and I'm sorry, you all wouldn't be in your positions if you didn't care about the seniors, and I respect that, and I am sorry you're catching the brunt of this, and I don't understand, and I hope that there's some pressure from the public put on as a result of this. And I don't want to go into special session. I don't want to spend that money. I'd give up my salary too for it. But, this on a personal level with my assistant, it affects our assistants when they take these calls from people that are 94-year-old woman calling, wondering where her next meal is going to come from. That hurts. And, is this what we're about as a state government? Where are our priorities? And, as a head of an organization, I always took responsibility for everything. Why isn't the governor sitting here today? Because ultimately this falls on him, and he should be providing answers to us. And I fear that in itself shows a lack of respect for this legislature. And, this is a group we need to be taking care of, and it's one thing that we need to be communicating on and cooperating on. It's been a month. It's unacceptable. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Thomas has a follow-up question as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm responding to comments made by my colleague, the senator from Pike. I'm amused about all the criticism the governor is taking, since we all know it's clear. And again, the law does state the governor does have authority to call special session, but he must have the consent and agreement of both the Speaker of the House and the Senate President as to what that agenda might be. Otherwise, that would be a real misuse and abuse of the funds regarding the special session. So all three parties must join in as to what the terms of that agenda is going to be for a special session. Now, if we're going to have one, again, all three of those gentlemen, all rational individuals, can come together and sit down and get this done. If we're about saying we want to do something about that. I also think it's important, since the legislature takes pride in saying that we are the appropriating body, and that's true under the Constitution, okay, that the governor did mention in his 24 budget address that he wanted to, for the first time, have money for senior meals in his budget. So he was the one who first acknowledged that and stated that in his 2024 budget address. Yes, it is true. The General Assembly did appropriate money, but the governor came forward first and said it's time we have money in our budget for senior meals, and the governor deserves a great deal of credit for having done that and put that forward.
I need to correct the record here. Kentucky Constitution, Section 80, the governor may call extraordinary session of the General Assembly and adjourn the General Assembly. It states he may, on extraordinary occasions, convene the General Assembly at the seat of government or at a different place if that should have become dangerous from an enemy or from a contagious diseases. In case of disagreement between the two houses with respect to the time of adjournment, he may adjourn them to such time as he shall think proper, not exceeding 4 months. When he shall convene the General Assembly, it shall be by proclamation, stating the subjects to be considered, and no other shall be considered. So this is completely within the governor's purview. Would you not agree with that, Counselor?
Well, Senator, once again, I think the law and the Constitution speak for itself.
That sounds
Take
like
that
a
as
yes.
a yes.
Thank you, Senator Wheeler. I forgot where I was at. Senator Reed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In a former life, I was a survival instructor for the Navy, for the SEAL teams, and one of the things we lived by was the rule of threes. It's 3 minutes without air, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. So we've got about 3 months before we convene again, and I would say that it'd be my recommendation that we do have a special session to fix this. We need to take action, and it's a long time, and seniors are the most vulnerable and most deserving, in my opinion, and I too would forego my pay to get this done. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Reed. Representative Camuel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've got just a couple of questions, if that's okay. Referencing what Representative Burke said, you indicated that the average cost right now per meal is $10.16. And if I understand correctly, you indicated that there are more people now who are in need of the services of the meal services. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. But when the budget was being crafted originally, do you know what the price per meal was that was based on?
I don't have that information with me, but that's something we can get.
Okay, that would be helpful. And I'll say this: I'm learning how methodical and precise Chair Petrie is as he is preparing the budget. I have a lot of faith in his numbers, but where my struggle is we had the opportunity. We had $15 million in the budget. We knew what it was going to cost, and although the request may have only been for 10, as a body, I'm not sure why we're acting surprised when the money has run out. Like we knew it. And what it feels like to me, and it feels bad sitting up here listening to this, and when we literally have people in our districts that are going hungry, it feels like this is an attempt of the supermajority to score political points on hungry people. So my question to you is, what can we do to move forward? What do we do to make sure that the people that we represent have food on the table?
The suggestion, Representative Camuel, is in working with the cabinet to identify that. Again, the cabinet has already made recommendations to each of the area development districts on how to prioritize those of greatest need. And we have sent those recommendations out. They went out with the letter on September 4th. And I will reiterate that there are some regions in which they do not anticipate a shortfall, and for those that do anticipate that, the cabinet is working with them to help them.
May I ask one clarifying question?
You may.
Thank you. So, and Would you repeat that again? So some ADDs will not experience a like funding shortfall.
Correct. Our finance team is one of the best finance teams in the department, and there are some area development districts that have projected they will not have a shortfall. They will be able to meet the needs of the seniors in their region. There are others that do anticipate that they will have a shortfall.
Is there a specific area that is going to be hit hardest? Are there areas that we need to focus on, or is it just peppered throughout the state?
There are regions that we've identified that will be impacted first. The first is the Cumberland Valley area, and they are making adjustments to their program to meet the needs.
Okay, thank you.
I think last is Senator Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got a couple of questions. If I get a little latitude.
You certainly may.
If you get tired of my latitude, you always have the gap.
I will let you know. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I'm going to try to short circuit through some of this stuff. I'm going to restate some things just so I can ask a follow-up question. We were talking about a lot of this stuff. One thing that I would be curious about, of the state allocated funds for this program, is all of that dropped at the beginning of the fiscal year, or is that a monthly allocation in?
We're on a reimbursement, so they spend the money first, and then they send in invoices, so it's monthly. So they do get a yearly allocation at the beginning of the year based on their population, and then they send in invoices, and we pay those invoices.
So by that token, all of the $10 million that was allocated for 25-26 has already been used with this program?
No, it's already been allocated, but it has not all been spent, no.
Okay, so it's an allocation.
Yes.
I'm trying to find out where some shortfall is here. As part of y'all's process, you mentioned having a really good budget staff. That's such a luxury sometimes with that. From a program standpoint, do you review your accounts and budgets and balances periodically, monthly, quarterly?
So it's done monthly. So as the invoices come in, we review their budgets, all 15 area development districts, as well as our own department budget, yes.
So do you know how you stand versus with expenditures for, I guess, this first quarter relative to what you had budgeted for?
At department whole,
for this program?
for just the program, I would have to get that for you.
Can you provide that to
Yes.
us as some trailing information? Thank you. I wanted to talk a little bit about the notice that you sent out to the ad districts on this. I think part of the language in there was the record-setting funding for this program expansion was supported by one-time federal COVID-19 dollars that expire on September 30, 2025, as well as additional budget requests awarded for the 24-26 biennial budget. What does one-time funding mean to you?
There we go. It's only available one time, for example, annually, whereas recurring state general funds means every year thereafter.
When you did the budget and when you were pushing to expand this program, did you understand that one-time COVID money was going to be completed and not available past September 30, 2025?
Yes, sir.
Did you take that into account when you were pushing for the expansion of this program?
Yes, sir.
Where did you think you were going to make the money at?
We had hoped that we were going to ask for an in-year appropriation increase this year, and then we were told that there was a $300 million shortfall.
So you pushed this out there without enough money to cover it in your existing budget, when your ad districts had already proposed to use more for us to allocate more money than you said we needed, based upon the hope that we would close that gap in the next budget, in the next session. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
In this memo, you referenced Due to reduced federal funding and other recent federal policy changes, fewer dollars will be available and more responsibility will be shifted to the states. What reduced federal funding were you referencing there?
The reduction in the federal funding that was supporting federal programs, as the cabinet has been made aware of federal changes that have impacted our operations.
As we stand today, so there is my understanding there is some non-COVID federal money appropriated to support this program. Is that correct?
There's federal funds that are appropriated and state general funds. Yes, sir.
Right. But of the federal funds, I'm not talking about the one-time COVID dollars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about just in regular ongoing appropriations from the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
Has that amount been reduced?
No. Actually, Amy, it was reduced by 0.4%.
0.2%.
Is that enough to radically change what we're talking about here? I mean, how much, I don't want to put you on the spot with lies and statistics here, but how much federal money goes into this?
This year we were awarded $12.7 million in federal funds.
So 2%, 0.2% of
Yes.
12 million. I'm not even going to pretend to do the math in my head. I'd embarrass all of us. But that's a rounding error on what we're talking about. Any other federal changes that you're referencing?
Not to the senior meal program directly, no, sir. To the Commonwealth, yes.
Okay. But not to this, as far as it applies to this program?
No.
Okay. So the allocation that we had in place that we had just admitted is short, plus the federal money that hasn't been reduced is the pool of money that we're playing with right now.
Yes.
No other funding sources other than those two.
Correct. It's the state general funds and the federal funds. Yes, sir.
So you mentioned in this letter that you suggested they expend all available federal carryover funds and state funds first, then expend current year federal funding.
Yes.
So how much carryover money was there coming into the 25-26 budget year?
I believe I have that. I believe it was, I may have to get that for you just to get it exact.
Can you trail
Yes.
that as information to be provided to the committee? Thank you. And I don't expect you to have every number that I could dream up out of my head, but thank you for that. Senator Wheeler asked a question if you had discussions about the specifics of the governor's plan to fix this. Have you had any discussions about the generalities of a plan to address this?
I've had no discussions at all.
Have either of the other two with the governor or anybody from the governor's office about his plan to address this?
No, sir.
I have not.
Thank you for some of this information. It's difficult. We have two different looks here. We're stuck with trying to find a solution to this because apparently nobody else is willing to, and we have to decide if the hole that we're in fiscally right now is due to ineptitude of not being able to manage the money within your budget, or intentional for playing political games in this. So we may need to ask some questions on the follow-up information that we were providing. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
I'm going to allow one more questioner, Representative Lockett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I will do my best to be brief. I have a couple of questions, if that's okay, but I want to make a statement first. I hope that we don't ever, from anybody on this committee, ever suggest that other members of this committee are trying to score political points by talking about senior meals. It's really ridiculous. This is a subject that all of us hear from our constituents on. It's not a game. So my questions I guess commissioner and council are both, first of all, from you or for you. So this first came to light September the 8th, correct? When the letter went out, is that right?
Yes, the letter went out September 8th. Yes.
Okay. So since the letter went out, have you talked to or had any communication whatsoever from the governor's office about this issue?
Only in preparation for this meeting.
Council?
That's the same. Yeah, only in prep for this meeting. It's the only conversations I've had.
So no communication as of, hey, what are we going to do about this? Let's talk about this issue. Let's try to solve this problem. We've got people going hungry. We have all of this going on. Commissioner, this is your department. This is what you do as a job. And you've had zero communication from the governor.
I have had zero communication from the governor. I do know there has been discussion with Secretary Stack in the governor's office regarding this program.
Okay.
But I have not, no.
Okay. Whose responsibility do you think it is to fix this?
I believe it's everyone's responsibility to fix this.
Do you believe it's yours?
Yes.
Do you believe it's the governor's?
Yes.
Okay. Then what are you doing to fix it?
I am here today.
A month later. We've said before, this is a month we have gone. This was brought to our district's attention a month ago. And we sit here a month later with no solution, no communication from the governor whatsoever, zero sense of urgency to say, we've got to fix this now. We've sat here for almost an hour and talked about this. I have not heard one sense of urgency from any of you. And that is concerning. We all sit here because we want to fix this. I don't hear the same from you. I don't hear anything from the governor. Silence is deafening. And if he probably maybe stop running for president and actually deal with issues in his own state, then we might be able to fix this. So my question is this: where are we going to go from here? In your opinion, where do we go from here?
Well, I can take that, and from a cabinet perspective and from a department's perspective, I think where we go from here, the folks at this table, is we've got to go back and use the whatever resources or whatever we is available and can be used to attempt to address this problem on a cabinet and department level. That is, and that's what I'm aware of here today. So beyond that, I don't have any information. I can't speak to that, but I do know, and that since this letter dropped on September 8th, I do know the commissioner and I do know the department has been in communication with the ad districts. We've tried to offer them as much support and much assistance, the technical assistance that she referenced, as possible. And like I said, to use the tools that we have currently. Now, beyond that, I can't speak to that, but I do know we will continue to try to do that.
If I could encourage you to take a message back when and if you do hear from the governor, wherever he may be, fix it. This has to be fixed yesterday. This is not a political game. It's not. We've got seniors that need food, and they need food yesterday. And I don't see anything that says we are working on this and we're fixing this. You're only here because we called you in. You're not here because you said, hey, we have a problem here. We want this fixed, and we want it fixed now. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I have a couple of follow-up questions. Do I understand that your testimony today is this is a problem because of a $300 million shortfall? Is that correct?
Yes.
We had a $300 million shortfall proposed, I suppose we should say. Did it surprise you when the governor said we're going to cut the senior meals program to help make up for the $300 million shortfall?
There has been no cut in the senior meal program in funding. There are no additional funds allocated to support the significant growth of the program.
So your plan all along was to come back later and ask for money,
Yes.
rather than asking for it up front and initially back during the budget session. We're going to come back later and ask for money.
We did ask for money last fiscal year.
So you went to
Yes.
the governor and said, we need more money, or you went to the governor's office and said, we need more money, and he said, well, there's a $300 million shortfall, we're not going to feed our seniors. Is that, do I understand that correctly? Am I missing something? I mean, surely there's something less important we can pull money from than senior meal programs. Did Dr. Stack, you brought up Dr. Stack, did Dr. Stack come back with a plan when he met with the governor and said, here's what we're going to do to fix this?
I think I can. Well, once again, I think I can answer that question. I know that I know there was a conversation about the plan. I'm sorry, excuse me, about the program and about the issue. As far as any plan, any specifics of that, I'm not privy to that. If there even are any.
How can we not be privy to the plan to fix this? I mean, we have the commissioner in front of us. We have to know what the fix is. We have people's lives depending on this. We're now, once again, finding one of our most vulnerable populations as a political football, it would seem, without an answer. And this doesn't fall back on the ad districts. That's not their fault. I think they actually said we're going to need more money. $10 million isn't going to be enough. I believe them when they tell me that. I know that we have a governor's staff member going around because he went into one of my judge executive's office yesterday and said, we just don't have the money. The funds aren't there. And left him with no answer. So first thing he does is calls me and says, we have to find an answer. I don't disagree. We have other counties judges, judge executives, and fiscal courts who are finding funds to help prop this program up to get us through to July. That's not a good solution because we have some of our more rural counties, 2 of them in my district, who don't have additional funds. They're already broken by inmate costs and jail costs. They don't have additional funds. They can't just come up and get them, and if they do, they've got to take them from something. It isn't there. As Representative Lockett said, this has to be fixed. Our seniors should never be left wondering where their next meal comes from. I get it. You believe that as well. But it's not okay to come here a month, more than a month now, after this crisis, and that's what this is. It's a crisis, was recognized, without a plan. I was hoping you'd come here today and say, here's our fix. We've got this fixed, and I'm not seeing it. It has to be fixed. And with that, I'm going to leave it with this, and I thank you for coming. I'm going to implore the governor and you and Dr. Stack to find a solution to this immediately. I'm talking today. This is a 24-hour-a-day problem, and it's going to require 24-hour-a-day work until there's an answer. Either find a solution or call us into special session. This is not a partisan issue. I don't care if we're Democrat, Republicans, or Independents. I think we would all forego our compensation to come here and fix this. It has to be fixed. We cannot continue on with our seniors, and one of the senators, I think it was Senator Wheeler or Senator Carroll, one that said, it's almost the holidays. That's not anybody in this room is going to be affected by that, probably looking at losing a holiday meal. But there are a great number of Kentuckians that are going to be impacted by that. They're going to look at that and think, where does my meal come from? I mean, they have to eat other days than the holidays, but it's just a shame. It's a crying shame to send them into the holidays without an answer. They're concerned. They're worried. They need an answer, and I'd like to hear one from the governor's office as quickly as we can. With that, I thank you. I don't know of anything further to say than that. I appreciate you coming here. I know it was not an easy task. Twice for you, Mr. Duke, and I appreciate that as well. I know it wasn't easy, and we knew it wasn't going to be an easy conversation when you got here. So I appreciate you showing up for it. I would expect to probably, if we don't have an answer, be back here in a month talking about it again, probably we need to have an answer before then.